Eventually, it becomes dull. You've experienced everything, and the parties blur into a single memory. I couldn't recall one specific event if my life depended on it. However, it was very enjoyable while it lasted. Story 21. The aging of the body from consuming toxic alcohol is not worth the temporary high. Lack of sleep is detrimental to both mental and physical health. People acting with lowered inhibitions can lead to disastrous outcomes, such as fights, arguments, and unsafe or unhygienic behaviors that create drama and problems. I will prioritize my rest, health, and peace. Story 22. I woke up one morning feeling awful and was thankful I didn't have to go to work. I realized I was drinking more and more, and I didn't like who I was becoming. I was worried about where it was taking me. I stopped drinking and partying that day. Since then, I've only had 2 drinks. One at a friend's house not long after, a shot of something I just had to try, and a glass of champagne at my wedding. I don't regret it one bit. Story 23. Losing or breaking my cell phone, losing my wallet, my keys, sometimes my clothes, spending money on expensive drinks, getting arrested, and fighting, and most importantly, my child. Story 24. My friends started having children and stopped throwing parties. Going to bars changed from always running into people you know to not knowing anyone. Story 25. As I got older, recovery took longer. Now my hangovers last several days. Even just having 1 to 2 drinks is enough to knock me out for the next 2 days. Story 26. It just stopped being fun. Once you're in the scene for a while, you realize it's the same people making the same jokes, and you're just wasting money and time. In short, it became boring. Story 27. I was an introvert who forced myself to go to parties. I would worry all day about how horrible it would be, but it never really was. I had tons of fun, but I would drink so heavily that I lost control. As I grew older, I decided I would rather hang out alone and not get drunk. Story 28. I hit rock bottom and finally realized that if I didn't stop, I would destroy my marriage and harm my children. Just 1 drink is all it would have taken. I have been drug-free and alcohol-free for 30 years as of this past February. I have 5 children and am married to the greatest woman in the world. Life is good. Story 29. I would rather enjoy my time doing fun, meaningful activities than just getting wasted to be around a group of mostly degenerate strangers. I grew up. Just try being sober at a party, and you'll realize that being around a group of intoxicated individuals is obnoxious. Story 30. I realized I needed to get my act together quickly in a world where you need money urgently. Story 31. Partying often involves drinking, which can drain one's strength and motivation. I would prefer to go hiking and become stronger. Alcohol can hinder people from being their best selves. Story 32. Honestly, nothing extreme. I simply outgrew it. It was enjoyable while it lasted, but the celebration cannot continue indefinitely. Story 33. It always felt shallow. No real lasting connections were made. Plus, I don't drink. I would rather go to the gym or work on music, which is much more satisfying. Story 34. Personally, I've never liked it. I'd rather be at the beach, the pool, the gym, or the spa. There are better things. Story 35. Things became increasingly difficult and stopped being enjoyable. People acted strangely and inappropriately. Suddenly, the situations I found myself in became more dangerous and unpleasant, with criminal activities occurring around me. I decided I had enough and chose to start over. I had a great time, didn't develop any addictions, and exited without an arrest record or any unintended responsibilities. In my view, that's a successful way to navigate your 20s. Story 36. My mind didn't change. I just got older and I am not able to recover as I did in my younger years. We took some visitors downtown Nashville last weekend, starting at noon and coming home at midnight. Between nicotine pouches, bourbon, and beer, the next day felt like I had died and gone to hell. By 11 p.m., I had consumed nachos, flatbread pizza, and enough bourbon to incapacitate a small country. Sunday was rough. Story 37. I found substances I enjoyed more than alcohol. Then I sort of grew out of that. Not that I don't miss it from time to time, but I probably just miss being 20 years younger. Story 38. Waking up hungover and spending a lot of money. I find myself in situations where people aren't talking with each other, but rather talking at each other. I still go to parties, but the crowd and environment are not the same as my University of Wisconsin-Madison college days with beer bombs off the balcony. Story 39. Maturity involves having a career and taking on responsibility. I still have fun with barbecues, but I no longer drink much and do not use drugs. Story 40. Eventually, partying consumed too much of the little money I had for rent and bills. Recovery from each party took longer, and I realized that while this was temporary for me, everyone else around me was at their peak. I would move on to a better job, a better place to live, and progress in my life while they would still be living at home, partying, using drugs, and drinking, lucky if they kept their current jobs. Story 41. Being tie-tie all the time and loving sleep. I started getting 8 hours of sleep at festivals and realized how much more fun I was having. Then, I stopped going altogether and replaced it with being active in nature. Almost every day when I get home from work, I think to myself, I should wind down and have a beer. Then I start drinking water and working around the house. I typically completely forget about my plan for beer. Story 42. Vanity, I was always the it girl, but I realized I was starting to age. I wanted to leave being cool before a younger person pointed out my age or before I became a joke. Story 43. I never enjoyed it to begin with, and the people around me stopped doing it, so I no longer had to pretend that I liked it. Story 44. I have better things to spend my money on or save for. I mostly quit drinking and am taking better care of my body. I found hobbies that are more fulfilling than frequent nights out. Many party friend groups can be unpredictable and unreliable, even if you think they have your back. You don't notice it when you're in the situation. Using mushrooms privately at home a few times a year is satisfying. Story 45. I never truly enjoyed it, but pretended to because I thought I was supposed to. Then I realized I do not have to waste my life doing things I dislike with people I dislike. That was a significant revelation. I have not attended any parties since and do not feel like I am missing out at all. Story 46. I'm old and tired. I don't even want to hang out after 5, let alone get dressed up and go to a party. So exhausting. I don't even know how I used to do it. Story 47. The party never stops, but it's just my wife and me now in our room. Every day is a celebration if you find the right person. Story 48. I realized it was unwise to spend money on something temporary that left me feeling bad afterward. Story 49. After a while, it's just the same thing repeatedly. Add in some regrettable decision-making and ruined days, and it just gets old. Story 50. I was very skilled at it. 1 drink was too many and 100 was not enough. I still smoke on occasion, but no longer drink. Story 51. It is not satisfying. There are much better and more fulfilling things for me to do with my time and energy. Once I realized that the party phase was leading me nowhere and actually towards addiction and criminal offenses, it was easy to step away. I still miss my rowdy days sometimes, but I will never regret moving forward, rather than staying stuck in the abyss of partying and addiction. Story 52. I realized a lot of the partying I did was actually an attempt to fill an empty void in me or keep me from feeling lonely or dead inside. I found ways to fill my time meaningfully with people who cared about me. Additionally, it felt like a waste of time and money. Now I don't have time to party because I am actually engaged in activities. That's not to say I don't go to parties, but they aren't the kind of events where I get trashed.